Good evening, because it seems to be late. I'm French, but I've prepared my slide in English. So have I to speak French or have I to speak English? English? Okay. So the agency asked me to talk about the sort of connection between PSC, PSI, or open data organizations from one side and Inspire from the other side. And what I have decided to explain is the French point of view on all that stuff about Inspire and PSI, not for the moral point of view, but really the French analysis which lead to a positive vote to Inspire directive. So I began usually in France my presentation with two things. First, the paragraph of the Inspire directive about problems of availability, quality, organization, accessibility, and data sharing. I don't know if your country is, but in France, it's very difficult to get the knowledge of the existence of a data set. And when you know that someone gets it, you try to obtain the data, and it's always very difficult and very costly. So that's the first reason, of course, in Inspire. But it's nowhere in Inspire directive. But fortunately, the PSI directive says there is significant divergence in the exploitation of public sector information, which leads to public loss of money. So the taxpayers could pay less tax if we were better. The point is Europeans choose to adopt Inspire, but you saw the same things in USA with Clinton and after Obama, in Japan, in New Zealand. And so it's not only our little Europe who decided to choose this way. It's a move in, of course, developed societies with information society developed. But I think the reasons to adopt these solutions could be found everywhere on the world. So what do the French accepted Inspire? First, with Arus, for example, we decided to adopt two. The European context is, especially in the environmental field, citizens have to be informed. So we want the citizens be able to understand what we are talking about environmental. It's not exactly only because we adopted Arus. On my previous function, I was working about natural hazards, on flood, on earthquake, and so on. And we learn that the more the citizens are informed on what we are doing, things about floods, for example, destroying houses to put houses not near the river and so on, the more they are informed, the more they understand why the power, the public power takes this decision, and the less they go to the tribunal. And for example, in Paris, we hold a public obligation. Paris is 2 million of people, many rich peoples, many advocates, and we have not one advocate we call it a judge, because we took the time to explain that there is a great risk in Paris of flooding, and the 2 years we spent to explain things earned many years of tribunal, the court, and so on. So it's not only for the ideal, it's very pragmatic operation behind. The second point is, in all countries, I think yours too, most often the responsibility of action of public power, it's a chain between local, subnational and national level. And so we built together a shared, no, not shared information system. We have everybody keep its information system, but we have to talk. When the government decided to put constraints on Paris because of the flood, we have to send to the municipality of Paris all the information because it has after to manage buildings and authorization to build and so on. So it's very important to be able to share all the data we have on that subject with the municipalities because they have to do the job after. And after, because of the PSI ideology that we share, the more we will put special data sets on the web, the more small actors, startup, will be able to take our data and to make innovation and to add value, as the colleague of Tunisia talked before. So the way it should go. It's for a user, a professional user or a private user. He has to be able to take data on a local website, for example, municipalities, to be able to take data on the European Environmental Agency website, to be able to take data on a national world thematic website. But what is important is he has not to go to each website to find the right information, to spend hours to find the right data set and to understand it. The concept of Inspire is to put all the data on the web on something, or I think someone, on a society, on a startup, or public establishment, for example, will be able to catch data together and to serve to the user the result of a compilation of different data. How will it bring back? I think I read all the studies available on return on investment for IDS. The best is New Zealand. If you have to read only one, from my point of view, the best is a New Zealand study. For Catalonia, the most important result from my point of view is the main sector is of course GIS industry, environmental urban planning, we could imagine that, and tourism. I never think before that tourism will be able to gain money because of the public data will be on the web and shared. And finally, the more politically interesting result is, no, it's only, sorry, we have two different studies. But from a political point of view, non-financial benefits are very important too, of course. And my predecessor talked about e-government and the ability to share data. For many studies, the capacity to find data will lead to time on money saving from 30% to 60%. And European legal text, and so French legal text, leads to the obligation to have many studies about the impact of a road, the impact of a sewer in a river, and so on. And if we are able to cut half of the cost, of course, it will be very important for the taxpayers. After, it's very important for us to be able to explain to a citizen where is it's his demand. When he put a demand to build an house, for example, we have to answer to his demand in 2 months. And we are trying to organize a sort of UPS following of the demand. And it is very important for all citizens to be able to know if his demand is stuck in an office or if his demand is following the right way in our administration. I say about the ability of small enterprises to create value-added services before. And so the most important thing I would like to talk before is the mutualization of the effort. Today, most of the great town or rich regions of our countries are able to serve information, public information, touristic information, and so on, to citizens, to tourists, or to a professional. But, of course, it's impossible to local town, little town, or some domains who are not very rich to achieve the same thing. So the capacity of Inspire, because of the mutualization of the resource, of the servers, of the technicians, to serve data of great town and little town on the same way, on the same web, with the same services, seems to me very important for the solidarity between citizens of a country. But, as you know, as we say often, Inspire is very complex and too technical to address a political agenda. And I don't know in your offices, but when I talk to my chief or to my director about Inspire, I spend 1 year and a half to be able to talk about metadata in our council of directorates. Because when I was first talking about metadata, my director said, what is this? So it's very difficult to explain all the stuff about Inspire. And I think it's normal. If you look about roads are an infrastructure for cars and services. Nobody cares about the people who put the macadam on the road. It's important only for him and his chief, but not for the Ministry of the Transport. And we are the guy who put macadam on the public data road. The challenge is to get sufficient money and sufficient resource to be able to build the road. And to get the resources and to convince our directors or ministry to get sufficient resources to do that, we need to be able to explain it is good for him. And we think open data could be, in some countries, it's the case in France, to be the light. Why? Just remember some dates. Between 2003 and 2010, nothing moved in France about open data and PSI. Okay? And by the end of 2010, some municipalities began to do the job. And at the beginning of 2011, our Prime Minister decided to launch a website, data.gov.fr, and to put all the public data of the state on the web. And so, for the first time, our directors, our ministries are here. They have something to do, asked by the Prime Minister. So we referred at this time Inspire as an infrastructure to publish open data, public data, as a special, for the special data, of course. So it's, for us, what we say today in France is Inspire is an infrastructure which can allow to publish open data, special data of course, at less cost, because we have all the system ready to use. In my conclusion, in my mind, Inspire is just a tool. So it's a tool which will bring political and economical benefits. So to inform citizens, because it's the first way followed by Inspire, minimize the cost, and it's very important for us, because if I can't explain that will be a cost-killing application, I have no resource, no money. Of course, to report to European organizations and to open the files to innovation and value, but from my point of view, it was not the administration. We are not innovators, because we are not in this position. And open data on the other side, as the reuse of public sector information, follows the same mind. To create value, to be able to share data, and so on. So I hope I had explained that it was a very huge tendency, a huge trend, and the risk is the difficulty of to understand and to use the tool. So if I have only one advice to give to you, is forget the tools at this moment. The more important thing to do for you, not for Inspire, not for the European Commission, not for the agency, is to protect your data, because your data is your value. And so the first thing to do, from my point of view, is to create metadata. Because we don't create metadata for Inspire or for anything else. Personally, I ask to my collaborators to create metadata, because I don't want, if they leave my service, forget what are my data. And you will have years to implement services on the interoperability rules and so on. But in France, municipalities, for example, are entering Inspire not to make me happy. They're entering Inspire because it is important for them, for their decider, for their mayor, for their deputy, and so on. So my only advice is ask in your services what is good for you, and take the Inspire tools, because it is a very important investment of human experience about very complex things. So you gain the brain of the European expert, and you put it on your hands. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Marc, for encouraging to go down this road with some little task before. Questions to Marc? Maybe you are already able, if I can have a question, because I'm seeing that your open government program is already a little bit older than the Tunisian one, so you must have gained already some experiences with publishing environmental information. So I would assume that you would also have to talk to the various data holders, and not all of them will be immediately coming on board to provide based on this open data policy. Maybe you can share a little bit experience with that. Also maybe where you see limits of sharing this data. Or is it really, we saw earlier on a table which showed different scales, for example. Is it really something we want to strive for, to have each and every data available? Or do you see a natural path, how this is developing maybe in an evolutionary way?
Maybe you noticed that I talk about Inspire tools, and I didn't talk about open data tools, because the difficulty when your prime minister or your president take a decision, it's for tomorrow you have to do that, and everybody is running everywhere, and unfortunately the pragmatism is not always here. So today we have a political decision about open data. We opened the website 9 months later, but the technical solutions seems to be not so good today. I have answered? Because there is a great echo when you talk in the micro. So.
Thank you for this reply. I mean, latest session here, and maybe we should just say thank you very much to the audience, to all the speakers for today's engagement.